Hi, we're Central Sussex Bee Association in Sussex, England. We're honoured to have Dr. Stefan Stankovic here with us today, talking about apitherapy. Apitherapy is becoming a more popular subject with beekeepers. Due to the fact that people like Stefan is sharing his amazing knowledge with us of all the amazing products from the hive, that these mystical, fluffy little critters provide so much more than honey. In fact, I'd go as far as to say that what the bees provide in their hives in medicines is so as important as the medicines from the plants in nature. But anyway, I'm excited to hear everything Stefan has got to share with us tonight. So without any other delay, over to Stefan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much for the introduction and for your presentation. Indeed, apitherapy, the medicinal or the healing or therapeutical use of bee products is a huge topic. So this evening, I'll try to give you, I'll give you a few slides on the medicinal beekeeping, like the rules and principles for medicinal beekeeping in comparison with industrial beekeeping and biological or ecological beekeeping. And then we'll focus on beehive air therapy. So there are two topics very, very important, very big. The general idea is that with apitherapy, we can see that if we use correctly all bee products, we can be much more successful. And from my travels in the world, I see that like 98% of the beekeepers, they focus on the collection of honey or almost only honey. And honey is extraordinary, but it's like 10% from the healing benefits related to the bee products, to the beehive. So it's a pity to have a treasure in your own apiary, a huge treasure, and to not know about it. So there are countries like Romania, like Russia, Ukraine, Bulgaria, the former Soviet countries or socialist countries, including China, where all bee products are studied and all bee products are used also. More or less, not all of them in every country, but the point is to use all bee products. Okay, so let me share with you this screen with the first part with the importance of medicinal beekeeping. Okay. Let me see. And if you can tell me if you can see now the full screen. Yes, can you see the full screen? Somebody?
Yes, we can.
Yes, great. Okay,
yes.
Good. So a few words about medicinal beekeeping. You have here my websites. I'll give you also at the end my contact data. I'm located in Romania, not far away of Bucharest, and several people from your conference room and also in internet, they came to our place in Romania. This is our home and our small apitherapy center. And you see here the bee-related part of our house. So this house is a human and bee house together. And by the way, there are now many projects on apitherapy in various countries, and there are many, many models possible for an apitherapy center. And I hope at the end of this presentation, you'll start dreaming on your own apitherapy center. Okay, so one very important part in apitherapy is to give to the bees a lot of flowers, to have flowers all year round, especially the medicinal flowers or medicinal plants or aromatic plants, which are beneficial also for our health. So when you choose an apiary, it should be in an area very, very clean, non-polluted. Here you have the addresses, the contacts, GPS location, and so on of my apitherapy center, and also of a nearby clinic, Iones Clinic, where we organize the courses. They are only 400 meters away from us. So when the participants from several countries, they come to Romania for our practical courses, they stay here. Okay, a few images about my library. I collected books and journals and information from over 80 countries. And we started in Romania thanks to this professor, Vyacheslav Harnaș. He was the president of Apimondia for 20 years, and he has published many Apimondia congresses books in several international languages, including Romanian. So this was a huge advantage, a huge boost for us, because all Apimondia lectures and conferences and so on were translated in multiple languages. Now it's only in English, unfortunately, translated. This limits a bit the communication between the people. Now, the most important part is that Professor Harnaș for apitherapy, he has given the approval and the support to create the first apitherapy center in the world, which started in 1974 in Bucharest, in downtown area. And this is a photo of the center. And I started working in apitherapy in this room here in 1991. So it was an extraordinary time for me. It changed completely my career. I was before a normal medical doctor. And then when I found about apitherapy and I discussed here with many specialists, we have had at that time already the older generation of professors, teachers, doctors, biochemists, pharmacists who were working on apitherapy also in this building. So it was extraordinary, and one of them was Dr. Alexandru Parteniu. He was a big expert in bee venom therapy. And here is an example, just an example. He was able to prevent the amputation of the legs in people with arthritis caused by smoking. 90% of the people having, it's a kind of thrombus, a kind of infarct of thrombosis in the arteries in the legs, which leads to gangrene. So he was able with bee venom to create new blood vessels. It's a phenomenon called neocapillarogenesis, and he was able to save the health of these people. In Romania, we have many courses on apitherapy. This is one photo in a group of people, of doctors specializing in apitherapy, phytotherapy, aromatherapy in training. And we have over 550 doctors now in Romania certified in apitherapy, which is a wonderful number. Here are, of course, images of courses I gave in over 60 countries. Here is one image in France. This is Claudette Renal-Cartabas, a wonderful friend from there, and we made together a few books on apitherapy, like this one. These are two books in German for German people. It's for general public, but they are also very good. This one is very detailed on apitherapy. It's almost 400 pages. And I wrote also another book in French. I have also the translation in English, but we need some time to edit it. It's on Lyme disease and how to treat it, how to prevent and treat it with apitherapy. Okay, and apitherapy internet course, 100 lessons. We have many students in this internet online course. Again, so here is the next opportunity in case you decide to come to Romania for practical courses. It's June 15, 19 this year, 5 days long, very intensive. Okay, so we have also another very big event in Germany end of March. Again, it will not be anymore in Passau because it was voted to go more central in Germany. And it's in Bad Königshofen. It's not far away from Frankfurt. And it will be also, in the same time, it's Congress of the German Apitherapy Society and our International Federation of Apitherapy. So this is the website, apitherapy.de. And also we'll put in our federation website the details. Okay, so apitherapy is an integrative or complementary method that uses all beehive products to prevent, heal, or recover a living being. Living being meaning here man, animal, or plant. Even plants we can treat with apitherapy, especially with propolis, of course. So treatment for over 800 diseases or conditions. So practically in the bee products, we find thousands of different substances, two kind of substances, nutrients and healing substances. And if we use correctly the substances, we can heal many, many kind of diseases. The bee is a flying pharmacy. For you as beekeepers, you know already that the bee creates all the products with her own body, like royal jelly here, propolis and pollen is collected here, honey, the first phase is here. The pollen is open in the large intestine. I believe not many of you know about this. So pollen is not open, even in bee bread, pollen is not open by the fermentation. Only special bacteria, they can open the pollen in the large intestine of the bee. Of course, we have the bee venom, the beeswax glands. So practically every single part of the bee is somehow related to the production or the use or processing of the bee products. How many raw bee products can beekeepers offer to apitherapy? Remember, I told you at the beginning that most of beekeepers, they focus only on honey, but in reality we have very, very good 10 raw, natural, organic, non-heating beehive products, and I go quickly. So honey, floral honey, honeydew honey, very important in apitherapy because you see it's darker, it has more polyphenols, more antioxidants, more minerals, and because of this is more anti-inflammatory or better antimicrobial than floral honeys. Then we have propolis, the famous propolis. Here you know propolis, the bees, they love to collect the resins and balsams from poplars. And by the way, this is one first suggestion for you. If you want to collect more propolis, it will be very good to plant or help to the planting of as many as possible poplars in your area, especially of the black poplars. Populus nigra, because the other one kind of poplars like Populus alba, like white poplar, is not so beneficial for the propolis production. This is an image of a green propolis, a bee collecting from Baccharis dracunculifolia. It's a shrub in Brazil, especially in Minas Gerais. It's a province there in Brazil. And this green propolis is very, very famous. It has many, many studies on its anti-cancer properties. Another propolis from Brazil, interesting, is the red propolis, also against cancer. The initial studies show that it's very, very good against pancreatic cancer. They made studies in Japan on petri dishes, and the healing rate, if you want, or the destruction rate of the cancer cells was 100%. They started preclinical tests with experimental pigs, and it was also 100% healing. But somehow the health department in Brazil blocked the continuation of the research on this extraordinary product. Beeswax, everybody knows beeswax. It has also interesting uses in apitherapy as an insulator, as a reflector of the heat back to the body, and there are several applications. Beehive air, the main topic of our discussion this evening. So everything in beehive, from the frames to the bees to the air which comes into the beehive, has some volatile components. And you see here a schema from Austria. In Austria, it was first time invented the idea to extract the air in a, let's say, professional way. It was one family Hüttner. And then this method was refined, improved step by step. And here we have the best system in the world now, being already medically approved in Germany. And here was Jürgen Schmidgen, the creator of the system. So it's Beecura system. So just you can photograph this slide or memorize this one, beecurasystem.de. So and here with us is Beate Mackenzie. She's the daughter of Jürgen. So she can explain you a few details about how to get this device and how to use it and how to join the network of Beehive air therapy practitioners, not only in Germany, but also worldwide. And you see here a photo of the same device in my own garden, and this lady is from Australia. She came for a course. Royal jelly is another very, very important product for apitherapy. And what is interesting maybe for you, we use not only the royal jelly itself, but also the larva. One professor from Germany, he saw that the queen larva has more antiviral properties than the royal jelly itself, and it's somehow logical. And so when you collect royal jelly, take also the larva, eat also the larva, or put the larva in with royal jelly in some honey and keep it there in the storage. This is apilarnil, the drone larvae triturate, or there are several methods to process the drone larvae. They are very famous for many uses. Bee pollen, bee bread. Bee bread being, the connection, the mixture of bee pollen, bee saliva, which contains nectar and several lactobacillus species. And then in the processing of fermentation of bee pollen, it comes many other kinds of bacteria. Okay, bee venom. Bee venom is best used on acupuncture points. Not only acupuncture points, but also trigger points and many other areas depending on the condition. And it's good to have some knowledge, basic knowledge on the location of acupuncture points and meridians for a better efficiency. Now, Beehive sounds, it's a form of music therapy. It's another product. And there are many beekeepers now offering 3 products in their bee houses. They offer the Beehive air in an active or passive manner, depending on if they have the devices or not. They can offer the bee sounds, like you see here, Beehive sounds. And also they can offer the Beehive bioenergy. It's a form of, every living being has a bioenergy, a biofield. And of course, a beehive having 20, 30, 60,000 bees have a very powerful bioenergy field. So if you stay close to this field, you can be like impregnated of this field, and this can have very, very interesting results. What is medicine-oriented beekeeping or medicinal beekeeping? What is the difference? The difference is that in medicinal beekeeping, we need to have not only very clean beehive products, like in organic bio or ecological beekeeping, but also medicinal beehive products that are very rich in specific healing substances. So here is the difference. In classical ecological beekeeping, the beekeeper focuses on the cleanliness of the products, which is very good. If you compare this with industrial beekeeping, where the profit is the main keyword. But here in medicinal beekeeping, we need to heal special diseases. And for this one, we need special substances, yeah? So basically, we can get clean and such substance from monofloral-based beehive products. Like, for example, if you want to have substances from Calendula officinalis, you can get pollen from this flower, or you can put extracts of this flower in some combinations, and then you'll have a very good effect against wounds, because calendula is known as being very good regenerative. So this idea with the medicinal beekeeping was started many years ago. In 2010, we already had a conference in Malaysia on this topic, and it's a start point for you, sorry, in apitherapy. Okay, so more specific biopharmacological active compounds, highly useful against specific diseases. And I will explain in more detail. So what are the rules? Locate the apiary in a clean ecological area, at least 30 kilometers away from any polluting source. So no pollution of any kind, including insecticides or herbicides. This is the ideal position. And then you need all kinds of bee plants around to make the bees happy all year round. As I told you, And then all materials in the in the apiary, in the beehives, must be very, very clean, as sterile as possible, not contaminated with any possible unwanted substance. And you see here, it's one beekeeper from New Zealand collecting pollen. Pollen is one of the bee products, a pillar of apitherapy too, besides propolis and bee venom and all the other ones. There are many systems of collecting pollen. The beehives must be, of course, not like this one. This is very, very bad. So you need to have very, very clean beehives, because the beekeeper should be like a surgeon in his own apiary. So very, very clean. Now, like you see here also in this image, the idea of cleanliness. And then here is a slide which kind of make synthesis on what are the things we need to avoid in beehive air therapy too, also in medicinal beekeeping. So we need to keep the pathogenic microorganism at minimum level possible. No varroa or less varroa through physical methods, through biochemical methods, which are not leaving residues in the beehive, like oxalic acid or formic acid. But also very, very good is now thermal therapy. It's like using hypercapnia, like the heat to destroy the varroa. The beehive should be not in an area where there is a lot of wind, because this disturbs the bees. No water inside, not too much humidity, not too much sunlight, not too much heat, and of course not too much smoke. Okay, so how to achieve more biopharmacologically active compounds? First, this one slide here with the excellent complexity, big complexity, huge complexity of the composition of honey here, but the same kind of complexity is also in pollen, in bee bread, in royal jelly, in propolis. So you see each class of these substances can have different healing effects. Okay, so in order to get these components in higher amount, you need to know where to place your apiary. And here is one example. If you want to get the substances from birch, birch is one of the trees which also is very good because it gives resins and balsams to the bees to make their propolis. So you'll place your apiary as near as possible to a birch forest or a poplar forest, as I said before, if you want more propolis, yeah? So you go to these locations where you have a higher chance to get a monofloral bee product. Okay, now there is another trick, is need to have new small frames. And I give you here one example. So if you have big frames, you have a higher chance to have multiple honeys on your frame. But if you have smaller frames, then this risk is reduced. And here is a photo of one beekeeper from Moldavia Republic, with this small frame. So if you want monofloral honey from a certain medicinal plant, which is good against a certain human disease, like heart disease, then you need to have empty frame 1-2 days before the flowering of that plant is starting. And then you put such frames in your beehive. And then you can give also to the bees a tea from that flower. For example, if it's hawthorn, hawthorn flowers are very good against heart diseases. Then you give a tea of these plants. Then you put these empty frames, but already built frames with the cells already built but empty. And then the bees will put this honey, special honey, very quickly in your frame because it's not a big volume. And then once they kept this honey, you need to take this frame out of the beehive, because if you leave it a couple of weeks or months inside the beehive, you know, in August usually the bees, they don't have so much nectar flow, and then they will start eating their own reserves. So they will eat from your monofloral honey, and then in September, October they made other kind of honeys, maybe like honeydew honey, and then your frame will be not anymore with monofloral honey. Yeah. Of course, monofloral, it can never be 100% monofloral, because the bees, they go also to other kind of flowers. But there are several methods to convince the bees to go, though, to these special flowers which we need. Okay, so, and then in this frame, you can put it in like a plastic membrane, and you keep it in the refrigerator, for example, and then you can send it to your customers. So one other very important point in medicinal beekeeping is no centrifugation. Centrifugation is a bad idea from the medicinal point of view, because when you do centrifugation, you open the frame, you uncap the honeycomb, and it's a similar effect like this one. Once you get the skin out, this tissue here will start very quickly, in a couple of minutes, hours, will become oxidized. The same happens, this process starts to be with the honey. Because during centrifugation also, it happens another bad thing. Because of the speed of the frames in the centrifuge, you create a huge contact with the air, and that's why you need 3 days to wait until the air goes out of your honey. And the air is not clean, air is not sterile. Only if you have your centrifugation room in, like in a hospital room, in a surgery room, maybe your air will be sterile. But normal APR is, the air is not sterile. And in the air, there are so many spores, viruses, and even bacteria flowing, and especially oxygen, which is oxidizing your honey. Not completely, but still it's oxidized. And the worst thing is that the aromas of the honey, a big part of the aroma will go into the air. So you lose the aromatherapy part of the honey, and the taste will be less attractive. So you see here in this image, after centrifugation, there are millions of air bubbles. And remember that each air bubble contains some spores, some viruses, maybe some bacteria. It has oxygen, oxygen oxidizes. And through centrifugation, you lost your essential oils. Not all of them, but many of them. So for apitherapy, it's best to use other strategies, like convincing the bees to put the honeycomb directly into a jar. Ideally, it will be a jar with a dark color. And other methods is to, like in Spain, in Tenerife, they have these special plates where the bees can build the honeycomb directly in these plates, and then you can use it for breakfast or whatever. Here is one example for breakfast, like in a big hotel in Istanbul, 5-star hotel. The rich people, they know that honeycomb honey is better in taste and efficiency than normal honey. So they just get it, they put it on their plate, and they go to their table. And here is one very, very interesting method. The photos are from Alina Varadi, one of our friends from Romania, from Cluj-Napoca. So you see here the photos, opening cell by cell, and then extracting the honey directly into the syringe. This is the best, one of the best methods to get honey with medicinal properties, medicinal quality, because the syringe is, from the very beginning, it's sterile. You buy it from the pharmacy, and you can get the honey directly into the syringe. So you don't go to a centrifugation where the centrifuge is not sterile, sometimes even not clean. Many times beekeepers, they use the same centrifuge every day for 1-2 weeks when they have a lot of beehives, and they do not clean the centrifuge every evening. So you get a lot of bacteria in that kind of honey. But this one is the best one. And then you can use this honey for several applications, like here you see for eye diseases. And of course, you can dilute this honey with saline solution, sterile saline solution if you need it. This is another way to microfilter honey to get rid of the possible bacteria or spores. And the microfilter, it's usually 0.22 micrometers. Okay, here is one photo. This is my hand here. And this is an injection of honey intravenous, realized by Professor Mamdouh Abdul Rahman in Passau. I believe it was in 2005. And this one, another very, very interesting way of using honey intravenous. Of course, this can be done only by medical doctors which are trained in apitherapy. This is another, like, remember, we can put in syringes honey, but also here it's a photo from Czech Republic with royal jelly. So raw jelly can be stored not in other recipients, but directly into the syringes. And the advantage of the syringes is that you have here the doses, the milliliters, and then you can give to the patient exactly the dose they need. Okay, one other idea to get monofloral bee products. This is also very good for pollen. Pollen, like honey, has so different. There are so many different types of honey, like linden honey, eucalyptus honey, dandelion, and so on and so on. Same is for pollen. There are so many pollen types, and each pollen has different characteristics, different tastes, different properties, because also the composition is different. Of course, there is not a completely different composition from pollen type to pollen type. Maybe 90% of the substances are the same, but there are some differences. And usually these 5–10% of differences, they are important when you decide to treat a certain disease. So the point here is not to use in apitherapy multi-pollen, multicolor, multi-floral, unless you have a patient which has many different diseases, or you want to have a product for the whole population, like in your case in Great Britain. But if you want to treat a special disease, you need a special pollen. So you need to find methods to separate the pollen according to the color. You need to check under microscope to see if it is really from that or that pollen. Then you put in special jars and you write down, this is hawthorn, this is dandelion, this is eucalyptus, and so on. And how to separate the pollen according to the colors? I like very much the running sushi principle, which is like you see here in all the airports, this running belt. In Japan, they use this, not only in Japan, in many countries, they have this moving plates with sushi. And the same can be applied for pollen. Like if you can speak with an engineer, and then he will create for you this kind of belt, moving belt, running belt. And then you can place the pollen, and then you have a few colleagues, 2–3 colleagues here, 2–3 colleagues here. And then each of the colleagues will take only a certain kind of pollen, like yellow pollen or orange pollen or green pollen. And then you can, many kilograms of pollen in maybe 1–2 hours, you can separate by color. And then you can use this mono pollen for many uses. Of course, you need to get the certification to be sure that your pollen is from that plant. Ideal is to have a microscope or to speak with a laboratory which can prove 100% that your pollen, for example, is from this or this plant. So it's good to have this one too. Because sometimes, yes, there are situations when the same color or nuance of color can be present in one or in 2 or 3 pollen types. This is very seldom. Usually the same flowers, flowers which have same color of pollen, they bloom in different times. So the beekeeper can make the difference because the beekeeper knows the smell of that flower. They can check the smell of the pollen and the taste of the pollen, which will be specific to that flower. But still, it can be a bit tricky sometimes. So it's good to have a good laboratory cooperation. And then they will make the extraction and then help you with many other things. Here it's a few images about propolis, how to make the extraction of propolis, simple ones. And here, conclusion for this medicinal beekeeping, we need to use all these bee products because we can stimulate all cells in the body. And here are a few words about the active components in these bee products like melittin, enzymes, or polyphenols. A few examples of use of bee products like honeydew honey, thyme oil, or propolis extract against this kind of wounds. Even with gangrene, you can have good results. In infertility, also, bee venom is one of the best products in infertility because it eliminates the cold, real cold in the genital area of the ladies. And then it's one other example, it's in periodontitis or parodontosis. Using propolis is extraordinary to protect the gums and the teeth finally, because you'll not lose the teeth because of the mistakes or genetics and so on. So there are many forms of propolis, and we'll organize another Zoom meeting in April on dentistry. So keep in mind this. Bee venom against para-arteritis, I explained you before. Here is a photo with apitherapist in Taiwan using bee stings against infertility. Here is the use of bee venom cream on body meridians. Type 2 diabetes can be prevented or treated well with bee products, especially propolis, royal jelly, honeydew honey with lemon juice can also be used. And of course, you need to change the diet. And also, it's very good against obesity apitherapy, like you see in this slide. If people are using really good bee products and special treatment protocols, they can get back to normality. Multiple sclerosis, it's another disease which can be treated in apitherapy. And I'm happy that here among us is John Drakes from UK. He has already good experience in treating MS, multiple sclerosis. And here is another huge topic. We have no time to enter in it. But apitherapy, bee products acts for regeneration of the neurons, to reduce inflammation, to reduce the autoimmune action of the immune system. And there are many mechanisms of action against this disease. Conclusion for medicinal beekeeping, we need clean and rich in useful compounds bee products. And best medicinal beekeeping can be practiced in a clean ecological environment with a big biodiversity. The best beekeepers who are working in medicinal beekeeping are the health-oriented beekeepers, of course. And I hope many of you will join our international networks on apitherapy. And again, next opportunity in Germany. Great Britain is very close to Germany. Please come register to this event at the end of March. Okay. And also we have some contact data here from me. Okay, so this was the first presentation on medicinal beekeeping. Keep in mind your questions. Maybe you write down on a piece of paper if you have some questions. And then I will go to the beehive air therapy. Now you have had the introduction. And now let me share with you about beehive air therapy. Yes. Okay, let's improve here. Let's minimize here again. Okay, and let's do it. Okay, good. So what is so interesting in beehive air therapy? As I said, every single part of the beehive can emit some volatiles. And these volatiles we can feel with our nose. And you see here a schema like the main bee products which are inside the beehive, which also emits volatiles, including the larvae. The larvae, they emit pheromones. And these pheromones are also volatiles. And there is one special type of pheromone, which is called methyl palmitate, which is very good for the lungs. It can open the lungs in case of asthma. It is anti-inflammatory and antispastic. So again, here some main substances which you can find in the bee products. So you can use in beehive air therapy not only the air from the beehive air, but also, of course, the bee products around, because you will give to the patient not only the beehive air in form of aerosols, but you can give them some mixtures of honey and pollen, honey and propolis, and so on. Here is one image in Russia. In Russia in 1920, apparently it was the first mentioning of a beekeeper in a journal. They published that they observed that when in the winter they slept in rooms near the beehives, their breathing, their lungs were functioning better. So it was an extremely important information, but nobody took this seriously. Maybe they said that it's just a simple information. And then in Hungary in 1953, it were beekeepers already. They noticed that when they sleep inside the trucks, these migratory beekeeping trucks, they were also breathing better. But again, nobody took this information and transformed it into something more powerful. And now it's here the history of Theodor Yakimowicz, very interesting. In 1961, he already and was invited to help in Vienna, the Vienna beekeeping school, was invited as a young person to help an old beekeeper. And Theodore at that time was having hay fever, very bad hay fever. And after the first day working in the apiary, his hay fever was gone. So one day, just working, opening the beehives and working with the bees, and his hay fever, this allergic rhinitis was gone. And he said about this to all possible meetings, beekeeping meetings, not only in Austria, but also in Apimondia congresses, in Bucharest, everywhere. He said hundreds of times, I was healed by beehive air, by working with the bees. He didn't say by beehive air, by working with the bees. But nobody, no doctors, no pharmacists, no researchers took this information seriously. They said maybe it was just a coincidence. Fortunately, in 1987, a family Hüttner, Heinrich Hüttner is this junior, but also his father, his name was also Heinrich. In 1987, they finally, probably they heard again from Theodor Yakimovich, they thought how to extract this behavior in a professional manner. And they have created this system. And here is one of their websites. And they moved from this place. We visited this place in 2007. We have had 2 buses organized from Passau, from our German apitherapy congresses. And everybody were amazed of what can you do with beehive air. So since then, since 2007, every year in Passau, in our congresses in Germany, we have had a special section on beehive air. And step by step, the German beekeepers, they got more and more experience. And they saw that indeed with beehive air, you can treat a lot of diseases. So there are diseases on the nose area, on the sinuses area, on the trachea here, on the larynx, inside the bronchia, like bronchitis or asthma. And you can even treat like more complex diseases like chronic bronchopneumopathy, obstructive, or emphysema, or in some people they used, I guess, more severe diseases too. You see here some images with a bee house made by one beekeeper in Germany, Hans Musch. And then Hans Musch was step by step was having this device here. And his device was step by step, of course, improved by many other beekeepers. And now we have all over the world many different such suction devices, if you want. Here is another photo from Switzerland. So practically now there are hundreds of beekeepers offering worldwide this kind of treatment. One important issue in the beehive, for the beehive air, the best components in beehive air are coming from propolis. So a beehive which has a lot of propolis inside is better than a beehive which has less propolis inside. So from now on, if you want to go in beehive air therapy, in apitherapy, you should tell to all producers of beehives, like bee boxes in your country, in Great Britain, to give you not this kind of internal wall of the beehive, because here the bees will not put the propolis. If they have a lot of grooves like this one, they will insert propolis here, like you see also here. So one way is to make this kind of many small lines, like to have a rough surface, and the bees will add this propolis very gladly. And this propolis, it's not for us, it's not to take out like this one for uses in human medicine, but this is just the propolis of the bees. So you should not touch it. More propolis in the beehive means stronger colonies, healthier colonies. A study done in the United States proved that a bee colony which has a lot of propolis inside has less problems with varroa and other diseases. Okay, so of course the inside of the beehive must be very clean. In this image you see the bees, they are having nosemosis, like with diarrhea, and the diarrhea of the bee smells very bad. So of course you must be very sure that you do not give to your customers, offer to your customers beehive air from such a beehive. because, or if the beehive has any kind of disease like chalk brood or foul brood or whatever, it will destroy the quality of the air. One way to use propolis, to get propolis for your own use, is to use this kind of propolis traps. Here is a discussion I want to make with you about this system, initial system, which was recommended in Ukraine and Russia. The idea to lay down on your back directly on the beehives. So this is a mistake. In my opinion, it's a big mistake, because this body is huge. Let's say this guy has 85 kilogram body weight. So he has 1 kilogram is 1,000 grams, and one bee, it's, let's say, 1 gram. So you have a living being, which is here like a huge elephant, sitting on top of the houses of these gentle, very delicate bees, like 85,000 times heavier. So when this elephant stays here on this bed, any movement he will make, the bees will feel it. And you know, the bees, they communicate by vibrations. They feel these things. So it will be for them a constant, non-stop stress for them. The best medical and correct position of the patient is not like this, but like this, if you want, for beehive air therapy. This is another explanation, because when the position is vertical, the lungs can breathe much easier than horizontal position. So this is the best position to use for beehive air therapy. Okay, and then there are other, if you want to use the beehive energy, like the bee aura, this special bioenergy field of the bees, you should not stay on top of the beehives, but near the beehives. Okay, so again, this photo is nice. It looks funny. It's touristical, if you want, but again, it's directly on the beehives. So in my opinion, this is not a good idea, because you must always respect the bees. Okay, so one of the major uses of beehive air is against hay fever, like I told you. And why? Because when you inhale the beehive air has all kinds of components which acts anti-inflammatory on the nose area and on the sinuses. And there is another explanation. The filter of the beehive air devices blocks most of the pollen which comes from the air, but not all of them. Not everything, not 100%. So a very small amount of pollen will come still in the nose mucosa, and will start acting as a desensitizing agent, which is in allergology. We know that when somebody is allergic, for example, to bee venom, they will use the same bee venom, but in a very, very small dose, to start to help the immune system to calm down. And they use a very, very gradual dose. They increase the dose of bee venom. In this case, it's the same kind of mechanism. We use extremely small amount of pollen, and because the nose is not irritated directly by large amounts of pollen, then the nose mucosa can adapt to this situation. Now, in the lungs, it's other mechanism like this bronchodilatory mechanism given by the components, volatile components from the propolis, from the beeswax, from honey, from the larvae, this methyl palmitate. And the beekeepers in many countries, they notice that they can treat bronchitis, asthma, and many other diseases, like I told you. Here is Hans Musch from Germany. He was present in many apitherapy congresses in Germany, in Passau, and he gave us many of his experiences. Here is a nurse, by the way, from Germany. He was having like 25 years long asthma, and he got cured of asthma in a couple of weeks. Here is some other ideas about diseases. It's in German. I'll go a bit faster. And then you see many people starting to offer this beehive air therapy in different bee houses, different locations. And it's just a huge opportunity for all of you, especially for your own health. Now, here is one other idea. So when you put the beehive inside the room, this is a room in Germany where I was hosted in the past. It's nice. You can get the beehive air inside the room, kind of aerosols in the room, but it's a nightmare if you want to work on the beehive, because the bees will fly inside the room, they will hide under the table and so on. So this is not a very good idea if you want to make the bees happy too. So they are happy because they are protected, no rain, no wind, and so on, but you cannot work on them. Even if you open the window, the bees will not go out easily. They will hide somewhere in the room. One of the best, very, very clean other option is to have the patient inside the room. And here outside are the beehives. So you just have a tube. The tube goes through the wall and it is connected to the beehive. And the beekeeper can come outside here and work with the bees, of course, before the customers are coming. And the bees will fly in the air. They come back very easily. It's not a big stress for them. And the patient is 100% secure. The patient can come from another place. It comes from the parking place, of course, and you need to have a insulated area insulated for bee stings, and they come inside. They are fully protected. And keep in mind that people which benefits most of beehive air therapy are the people with hay fever, this allergic rhinitis, or a person which is allergic to pollen, maybe also allergic to bee venom, so to bee stings. So that is why the security of your bee house must be perfect. Okay, so here you see the system. It's again with the beehive systems inside the room. It looks nice because this room can be also for relaxation, for overnight. You can sleep on this room or you can spend a couple of hours. But again, as I told you, if you need to work inside because maybe the bees, they start to have a bad smell, maybe they get foul brood or they get diarrhea and osmosis, then the bees will hide everywhere under this bed and the chairs and so on and so on. So here is another photo from Ukraine. Here is one other system, like when you want to do the teachings, you have this, how do you call in English? It's open to the public event. So you can have like a demonstration beehive, and then you can show how it works. Of course, you'll sell also the bee products, normal, regular products like propolis tincture, honey, and so on, besides the beehive air. So you have more options of money. This is one other idea, to have the ventilator which attracts the air outside, not on top of the beehive, because there is some vibration which the bees may feel. And then it's a good idea to have the ventilator outside. Here is one other system from Germany, NADWAT system. So the point was that if you use the heat, like in sauna, if you put heat under a beehive but no bees inside, the volatile components, I remember I told you it comes mainly from propolis and beeswax. And you can get these volatile components from propolis and beeswax without bees inside. So it's like in aromatherapy, you just need heat and the bee products here inside. So this is another very good system. Why I'm telling you this? Because you can use in the warm season, like middle of spring, summer, and middle of autumn in Great Britain, this system. When it's colder, too cold for the bees to use this system, you can still in the winter use this kind of api aromatherapy, like special methods. There are several devices which uses heat electrically made to make evaporation or volatilization of these components. Here in Romania, behavioral therapy was developed by these engineers and this doctor. We have had a congress in Romania in 2014 in Brașov. And it were several engineers like this one, Engineer Togan. They came with improvements to this beehive system. And here is one idea to add on top of the beehive some new frames or like boxes, if you want, where you can put medicinal plants or essential oils to improve the richness in volatile components from your beehive. And it was also this idea with the pyramid, like you put on the beehive on top of the beehive, like a pyramid, like this one. And then the beehive air will go slowly, slowly upwards physically, because we know that the heat, the warm air goes up, and then you can get it on this mask, even without device ventilator. It's possible too. It's a good idea to propolize the internal part of this kind of box. Here are some other images. This is Engineer Togan. He made the pyramid perfect, because here it was like pyramid just to cover the beehive. But maybe you notice that in Egypt, the Cheops pyramids, they have a special sizes, and this special size is this one. You must respect these parameters. And then he observes several good systems. As I said, one of the best systems in the world is now Bicura with Jürgen Schmidgen. And here are some parts of the beehive, the Bicura system. You can order it in internet, of course. And then you can have also, it's another device made in Spain, near Barcelona, in Barcelona, by one of my students, Samuel Ramal Jimenez. And here is his small bee house. By the way, for you, in UK, you can have pretty easy, you can make this kind of bee houses. And here, this first bee house was for relaxing the patient. So the patient, they come with their own car. Here is a parking place. And then they enter first time 20, 30 minutes in this relaxation house. And then they come for beehive air here. So it's a good combination of methods. And the device of Samuel Ramal Jimenez has also this very, very interesting other option. It gives to the doctor, to the therapist, to the patient, more information of the on the beehive air, which is coming out of the beehive, which is like these parameters: temperature, heat, carbon dioxide, and also volatile components. And then he has some other programs to make the patient to breathe in a certain rhythm and so on. Okay, external sources of beehive air volatiles. Now, if you want to have a strong beehive air, of course, you need to have many medicinal plants around, ideally aromatic plants. So just speak with an aromatherapy practitioner and they will give you a long list of aromatherapy related plants, like basil, like peppermint, like oregano, rosemary, lavender, sage, and so on, or thyme. And then idea is to plant these aromatic plants as many as possible near your apiary. Or if you are doing migratory beekeeping, you can go near these fields. And then you'll get more aromatic substances more in your beehive. And here is about medicinal bee plants. It's another topic. You can speak with specialists, you can speak with botanists. They should come in your apiary area and check what kind of medicinal plants are there in your apiary. And then you can plant other useful plants, as I said. Here is an example with hawthorn, Craterus oxyacantha or monogina. It's a very, very good shrub for heart diseases. And we collect from this shrub the flowers, the leaves, the fruits, but also the pollen and the honey. So by the way, one very good idea, we have in Romania a company which is using the synergy of all these products. So they combine all these products in only one product, which is of course more powerful against heart diseases. Now, a few characteristics of beehive air. It is a specific, it's a warm, you can say also it's sweet kind of air, humid and pleasantly smelling air. When you go to your apiary, you stand in front of the beehive in the afternoon, late in the afternoon, in the evening, if the bees, of course, are not aggressive to you. When there is a small wind blowing to your face, so from behind the beehives, you have this extraordinary nice perfume. You feel the perfume of your own beehives. So this is something unbelievable because the bees, they don't know, but they eliminate from their beehives so many healing substances. Of course, they need to get rid of humidity, of sometimes excess of carbon dioxide, but they are kind of blowing out gold. Composition of beehive air. This is a very interesting topic. there are many substances in the bee products, honey and so on, propolis, beeswax, which can give us volatile components. Like you can see here, volatile components like ketones, aldehydes, and so on. And there are some studies on this topic. Like you see here, a very interesting study done in Brazil, another one done in Egypt and Sweden. And in Germany too, they analyzed the beehive air in Dresden, and they saw that there are over 50 such components, again, coming mainly from propolis and beeswax. So I will not insist on this topic because it's a bit too difficult, too complex if you want, because it's a lot of biochemistry here. But you see, just for you, if you want to see some volatile components, like they found in this Brazilian study, they have each such molecule has a certain code, and then you can find in the databases on biochemistry the chemical profile of these volatile components. And then you can, once you found a certain compound, then you can search in internet. For example, this one 1-butane, 3-wane, 2-chlorobutane, blah, blah, blah. I'm not a biochemist, so for me, this is Chinese language, but each of these components may have some benefits for the health of our customers. In Germany, again, like over 50 such components, and it's a very interesting topic. If you have a chemist, they may help you, and by the way, it will be very good to do in your areas there analysis of your own beehive air. So once you make the beehive house for the bee house for this method, it will be very good to invite some specialists to measure the amount of components in the beehive air from your own bees, because then you can use this result when you present it to your customers. Here is an extraordinary article made by Abdel El-Wahed in Egypt. In 2021 was published, but it was another team from Sweden. And I was really very pleasantly shocked when I saw that even beehive air can be antimicrobial. So I thought before that antimicrobial, okay, it comes from propolis, from honeydew honey, from bee venom. When you have pretty large amounts of substances coming in direct contact with the microbes, but they prove that even the very delicate or refined, if you want, beehive air can destroy bacteria. So this is extraordinary. Only with this slide you can base your own marketing, or you can make your apitherapy houses, because almost every person which has a respiratory disease, nose, pharynx, larynx, bronchia, alveoli, and so on, almost always there are some microbes there. So with this one, just inhaling the beehive air, you can get rid of this bacteria at least partially, and you help also the immune system through other mechanisms. So it's a very powerful property. Again, the conditions for beehive air I told you in medicinal beekeeping. And then some studies here with Tiago Guardia from Brazil, Professor Speer in Germany, Niraldo Paulin again in Brazil, the Egyptians in France, Patrice Percy-Dussert in Spain, Barcelona, Samuel Ramal Jimenez. Composition of beehive air, general composition, external environment air, external volatile substances from the plants, CO2 from the breeding of the bees. This is a very important component. Volatile substances from propolis, beeswax, and other bee products. Pheromones from the bee bodies, like larvae and adults, like methyl palmitate. So the beehive air, it's a mixture of all these things. Of course, it's very heterogeneous. It's different from beehive to beehive, from apiary to apiary. But all of them, they have this CO2 in larger amount than normal air. And this is characteristic to all bee colonies all over the world. And the other components are having also multiple pharmacological effects. So you can explain why beehive air works in any country, not only in Germany or Austria. Here is a scientific explanation about the carbon dioxide. We know that carbon dioxide, when it elevates into the blood, it causes what is called hypercapnia. And this has an effect on relaxation of the blood vessels. Like you see here, it's a blood vessels, a capillary, which is contracted more or less. And when it comes carbon dioxide, this causes a bit of respiratory acidosis, and this dilates the capillaries, which is very, very important, because when you have in the lungs this the microbes, or you have bronchoconstriction, you have infections, the blood flow is not very well. So if you can improve the blood flow, you have already a very good general effect for the lungs. Again, effect of methyl palmitate on asthma. You see here an explanation. The part of the Beehive products, aromas and acids and so on. A bit of more theory here. Some volatile components like benzoic cinnamic acids, cetones, terpenes, esquiterpenes. Here is the study from Germany where they proved that over 50 substances were present in the Beehive air. Okay, I go a bit fast, but here you may write down, or you may take a photo of this email from Professor Karl Speer from Dresden, Germany. They made the first good study on Beehive air composition in Germany. France methyl palmitate, I told you, in Brazil, Tiago Guardia and the colleagues, abstracts. Okay, here is the study done in Romania by one of our doctors, Dr. Cojocaru Doina. She proved that indeed in the Beehive air it's more carbon dioxide than the outside air. Okay, properties of Beehive air, a few of them: antispastic, bronchodilatory, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, sedative. It's calming usually. Here again, the antibacterial effect on the bacteria. Indications, contraindications, and limits. So what kind of diseases? And we have had this study done by Dr. Cojocaru in Romania, and there are many other good doctors, good therapists in very other countries, especially in Germany, working with the Beehive air for some good years now. And here you see some analysis of the patients. I don't go in details. I want just to tell you, for example, here it's a list of diseases these patients were having before and after therapy. So you can see differences, like before the volume of air in the lungs was like this, and then it was like this, increased. And the doctors can make this kind of analysis before and after Beehive air therapy with various methods. One of them is spirometry, like measuring the lung capacity, but there are other methods too. Here, a few technical other ideas. Remember that it's not a good idea to have the beehives blocked inside the room. It's ideal is to have the possibility to push the beehives outside if you want to work outside on the bees, like here. And this is a system from Poland. Also, a system taken afterwards in Ottawa by Ross and Mitev in Canada. And here is a very nice photo from Switzerland. This is probably the best system I saw. Very, very clean, very solid. So outside this treatment room, the patient can come through these stairs, or they can come from another part. And then you can push the beehive as you want. You can leave it inside when you do the Beehive air therapy session, or you can push it out when you want to work on the bees. And they have, see here, it's not only Beehive air, but you can put also a pollen collector if you want to collect some pollen too. And here is an image from Switzerland, another couple, a beekeeper and a nurse in Switzerland. They have a very successful Beehive air therapy house. Very, very, really, very good, very successful business. And I was there, they organized a conference course, intensive course on this method too. Okay, again, Jürgen Schmidtgen in Germany. And here is another system from another German guy, Andreas Heidinger. He came with another very interesting idea, which is to get the air not from above the beehive or behind the beehive, like it was the system from Heinrich Hüttner, but from the entrance of the beehive. And this guy, Andreas, said, look, the bees, they are eliminated anyway, non-stop the air from the beehive, especially in the evening and in the night, because they want to eliminate the humidity. So practically, like I told you before, the bees are eliminating like gold or perfumes, Chanel 5 if you want. So it's a pity not to use this air. So if we take this air with this system from the entrance, here is like an igloo. The bees, they can enter in and out. It's no problem. They can exit. And here from the, let's say, north pole of this igloo, you can adapt this tube and then you can have the tube going to the patient. Yeah. And you will not disturb the bees, not even 0.1%. Because when you take the beehive air from above or behind, if you make some excesses, like you take too much, the colony may get a bit colder and may get too much of the volatiles out. The bees will not be happy because they need also the volatiles. They need also the carbon dioxide for other reasons. So this is a very, very clever idea to apply in front of the beehive. And again, Samuel Ramal in Barcelona with his system, like with the relaxation house and the treatment room, with this system, with the information. Conclusions, it's easy to implement. It's a very soft apitherapy method. What can be softer than the beehive air? And every beekeeper can do it. It gives excellent results in difficult to heal cases when you have a good cooperation with the local health practitioners. It's an excellent complementary method to all other apitherapy methods. It's a small investment, but with high financial reward. And here it's another photo from Jean-François Larivière, who is a big fan of using propolizing air systems. Here in Italy, they use this combination heat plus propolis plus propolizers. Remember that I told you that in the winter, you cannot use the beehive air, but you can use this kind of devices which heat with the electrical system, the propolis, which is here located. And these volatiles from propolis will go in the room where we are, in bedroom or living room, whatever. And you can adapt also a tube that you can inhale the propolis from this one. And because BHAT is here in the online room, her father made a device called propolis, which is made on the same concept, like offering the volatiles from propolis too. Here is also from Italy this propolayer for the cars. This is another brilliant idea. They have this system, electrical system, to make a certain temperature, which is very well studied, very well checked and secured. And then your car practically becomes like a propo sauna. You put this propolizer into your car here, and then the aerosols, the volatiles components from propolis will come in your car inside. And because it's a small volume of air here, you have a higher concentration of propolis volatiles than in such a big room like here or here. Yeah. So there are several countries which are importing huge numbers of this device because it can be a huge business. We know that in the cars, there are substances which are not very healthy, especially in the new cars. The plastic of some parts of the car are smelling bad. And also there are pollutants from the motor and also pollutants from the air. So the propolis can clean at least partially this air from inside the car. And because of its bronchodilatory effect, can help against many diseases. So practically your car becomes like a mobile beehive air unit. Propostin from Slovenia, it's another system where you can use higher amounts of propolis, like in the Italian one. You can put much more propolis here, and then you can use it also in the rooms, living room, and so on. Here, a theoretical general educational slide on the active substances from the beehive products and how we can use for the immune system. And here also my websites and my email address. So thank you for your attention. It was a bit in a hurry, but this presentation it is recorded. So I will give you the link to the presentation, and you can stop anywhere in the presentation on any slide. And then you can have more details. And of course, you can contact the authors of these scientific papers. Sorry for the noise from the printer nearby. Okay, so I hope now you have already in mind some questions. Oh, I see also Lady Cerelli from United States. Hello, Lady. I'm very happy to see you. Lady is a big apitherapy practitioner in the United States with a huge experience. Okay. So my wife just gave me some questions from Facebook, but let's hear first your question from you wonderful people in Sussex, Central Sussex Beekeepers Association. So let me know your questions. You can come near the microphone, maybe near the laptop. Yeah, or
That was amazing, Stefan. Thank you very much for your talk. I think everyone's dumbfounded. Yeah. So, sorry, have you got a question there? Sam was asking when the UK apitherapy centre is going to be opened.
yes, I hope next year. Yes, I hope next year. Yes, yes. It's really not complicated. Just to encourage you, there are now several projects going on. One in the United States, one will start in Dubai. We have another one in Romania besides Bucharest. So there are more and more people wanting to make apitherapy centers. And of course, you cannot start directly with a big center because it's a big investment. But if you start with a big house for beehive air, or you do some soft apitherapy, like honey detox massage, or bivenom creams, or propolis cream for massage, for acupuncture, or you do some bee stings therapy, ideally together with some health practitioners, you have already a large palette of methods. And then step by step, with good sponsors, you can make, why not, even an apitherapy center. Okay, so other questions?
One more question here. Yes, yes. Can you hear me, Dr. Stefan?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much for a very enlightening talk about apitherapy. I just wondered from the medical point of view, on the microcellular level, what happens? Where is the effect on the cells, on the human respiratory system? Is it on the nucleus, on the mitochondria, on the cellular levels, on the sodium-potassium channels in the cell? Where is the effect of the beehive air on the lungs? On which part of the cell?
Yes, very, very good question, very complex question, and very hard question. So, but what is important to tell you is that there is a principle in apitherapy, a golden principle, which says that when you have a local disease, let's say some here, you must come in this area with your healing substances, with your bee product, for example. Now, when I have a disease in the lungs, like asthma or bronchitis, and I take an antibiotic or an anti-inflammatory drug, aspirin, whatever, I will swallow this drug. This goes into my digestive system. Then it goes into the blood. Then it comes diluted, highly diluted to my lungs because this substance is diluted all over the body. But it comes to the lungs through the blood system. And it doesn't come through the inside of the lungs, like through the trachea or through the bronchia. Or the problem I have in this mucosa of the respiratory system, which is inside the lungs, and that there is the problem. So when I inhale the beehive air, even if there are very diluted substances, very few substances on, let's say, 1 cubic milliliter or centimeter like this, those molecules which are in the beehive air, because they come directly on the cells of the lungs, and they go, of course, first to the mucus of the bronchi, but they go inside afterward to the cells. And then they can act like you asked, on the cells. Now, I don't know any study which analyzed exactly what makes these volatile components from the beehive air on the cells in the lungs. It will be studies like this maybe done in the future. But from all other thousands of papers, articles, studies on the use of bee products for health, we have this general conclusion that the substances from the beehive products, they act on all parts of the cell. They act on the membrane, like it protects the membrane against the attack of viruses or bacteria. It acts in the cytoplasm, and there it's, like you said, in mitochondria, but also on ribosomes, which are producing proteins. The ribosome, they get the essential amino acids from pollen, from bee bread, from royal jelly or apillar nil. It acts on all components of the cells, including the nucleus. Now, this is extraordinary because there are very small molecules in the bee products which can travel through the membrane, through the cytoplasm, and they can reach the nucleus. And then there in the nucleus, they can act on the chromosomes, and they can also improve the chromosomes regeneration. And here is the geneticians, they found out that in 24 hours, we have about 7,000 errors in our chromosomes because of the free radicals, radiation, oxidation, whatever. And the chromosomes, if they have enough good substances, they can repair these errors in the genes. And this is called also epigenetics. So it's the part which surrounds the chromosomes can be manipulated by these substances in a positive way. So you can activate or deactivate certain genes, and you can make also, and this is huge, and I'm very happy to tell you, it was published in UK, an article in 2010. The author was an American researcher, Robert Liebelt, and I have his book here. And he found out that pollen can make genetical corrections, when there are genetical errors, they can be corrected by pollen. And we have from other studies that also propolis can work, and bee venom. Practically all bee products, they can act on the chromosomes too. Okay, but good question. So stimulative question. I will ask our academicians from the International Federation of Apitherapy to study exactly the volatile components, how they act on the lung cells. Okay, to share again the book, yes, you can find it in internet. I ordered in internet in Amazon, Robert Liebelt. It's about pollen. I can give you separately if you send me a short message by WhatsApp, but if you Google Robert A. Liebelt, you find this book. And he describes here, and I have also his articles where he explains how pollen can make these corrections of genetical errors in experimental study. Okay, other questions from the group, from the classroom? Yes? Okay.
No, I think that's it, Stefan. I think there's
Okay.
no more questions at the moment.
Okay, okay. Then I'll answer to the questions from our online participants. And then, okay, so one question from Gulten Bulut was if the behavioral therapy more efficient during the night or during the day. So my answer is the best time for behavioral therapy is not in the morning, not in the middle of the day. Ideally, it's in the evening, because in the evening, the bees, they have maximum ventilation of the air. The bees, they collect it all over the day, a lot of volatile components. And then they have maximum of concentration of volatile components. So best time will be afternoon and in the evening. Okay, good. Okay, let me see some other questions. Okay. Good. And then in chat. Okay. Okay, so Nikolai, he put the question, is not very clear. He said that the pollen is in the beehive is mixed with different pollens are mixed in the beehive. So yes, it's true. When the bees they make the bee bread, of course they put in the cells pollen after pollen, different colors. But what I told you about monofloral pollen is the pollen which is outside the beehive, which is collected through that special pollen trap. So from there you can separate by colors. Okay. Yes, the presentation, Imadin Al-Baba asked the presentation. um, I will give you the link to Zoom. Maybe 1 hour or tomorrow, I'll give you to all of you who will send me a short WhatsApp message. It's easier, but also you can see in Facebook. I believe it's still working in Facebook. A couple of days, if you go to my Facebook page, you find also the presentation. You can download it also from there. Okay. Yes, a nice remark here. Can apitherapy replace human medicine? Yes, to replace, not, because there are so many other forms of medicine, like emergency medicine, like accidents, car accidents, big burns, and so on. And of course, apitherapy cannot, it's extraordinary, but it's not universal. You cannot treat everything and anything. Ideal is to have the cooperation of all the other organs to or doctors to have better results. Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. 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 So one question from Helen from Dorset B. She said that it's hard to engage the support from health practitioners for apitherapies. Any advice I can give here? Okay, so my advice I give you here. So the most important part is to motivate these people to learn about the bees, to learn about their healing properties. So basically, you need to inform them, to educate them. So once they understand how propolis works against a wound, why honey is good against a burn, and so on, they will become fascinated about this topic, so enthusiastic. But you need to have some patience. You need to give some books to them, some journals, some articles. You need to prove them that it works. And then the internet is huge. There are billions of information on apitherapy in internet. Now we have also ChatGPT, which is really extraordinary. At the beginning, ChatGPT was making some errors, but I use it now almost every day. At the beginning, for example, ChatGPT didn't know what is apilarnil, the drone larvae, but now it's better and better and better. So the information is for sure out there, but you need to make the people passionate about this. So invite them to your apiary. And I have many students among you, my own students in apitherapy online course or workshops like in Passau in Germany or in Romania or other countries. So one good idea for you is to start to make some workshops. You make some workshops on the bees, on the bee products, general on honey and so on. And then you add to these workshops some information about, for example, a beehive air. So, by the way, there is a huge source of knowledge on beehive air therapy. It is in my YouTube channel. We organized several years ago with BHAT, Mackenzie, and some other colleagues, a big conference, online conference on beehive air therapy. So it was not like now 1-2 hours, but it was like 1 day long. And there are, I believe, 24 videos about different parts of beehive air therapy. So just go in YouTube, you search in YouTube with my name, Dr. Stefan Stangasiu, and then you come to my channel, and there you click on playlists, and then you'll find quickly the beehive air therapy videos. But I can give you also personally the link to these videos. And there are many presentations from Germany, also presentations on how to make exactly the beehive, like what conditions, like ecological conditions and so on, how to cooperate with the local doctors, many other topics are there. Okay. Yeah, okay. Well, one question from Batsinda Gilbert from Rwanda, I believe it's Gilbert. If using the beehive air to the patient, can the bees be contaminated by some microbes from the patient? Okay, so it's a valid question, but if you have the normal tube and you have the mask with it's a special valve, when the patient exhale, his air doesn't go back to the beehive, but it goes immediately out through this special valve. So there is no danger that the human microbes will go to the beehive. But anyway, there are not known, I personally don't know of any situation when a human disease will go to a bee disease, will go to the bees. Vice versa can be, there are only one or two exceptions, but this is extremely seldom that there is cross pathology between us. Okay. Yes, Nikolai said that the outside pollen, even the monofloral from outside pollen, it's not 100% monofloral. Yes, he's right, because when the bees are flying in the air, they get some anemophilus pollen, which is flying in the air too. So that pollen is not 100% from that flower. There are some other flowers too. But what is important is the concentration. If it's 1-2% of these other pollens into this pollen pellet, there is absolutely no problem for the therapeutic effect. Okay. Other question from Mema Ervis is how to assess the scientific basis of apitherapy. So there are a lot of scientific studies, hundreds, thousands of studies on the composition, characteristics, and pharmacology of the bee products. I have had in another presentation, if you go in PubMed is one of the largest databases with medicinal studies in the United States. And if you just put in the search window propolis, you'll find now over 5,000 studies which mentions propolis or the substance from propolis. So there is a lot of scientific background on the bee products and also on apitherapy, because there are so many clinical studies on apitherapy directly, like honey used on the wounds, propolis for COVID, like it was a few years ago, and so on. For the standardization of the bee products, there is another very, very important topic. It's a huge topic, this one too. Now, usually if you ask the experts in standardization of the bee products, they will go for the composition. They say that a good bee product, like a good propolis, is good if it has at least this amount of polyphenols, or this amount of flavonoids, or this amount of quercetin, or these volatile components, yeah? So it's a valid kind of approach. Like in honey, if you need to have healing substances, you need to have so many enzymes, so many minerals, and so on. But in medicine, when you want to treat a certain patient, a certain customer, the customer is not interested in the composition of propolis. If it's quercetin or cinnamic acid, it's absolutely not interested to the patient. The patient is interested to be healed through special properties of the bee product. So the standardization in the future will be not only in the composition, it must be also on the properties. For example, if I have a patient with the infection in the lungs, it is not so important for me what substances from propolis or from honey are having antibacterial effect. It is important from the scientific point of view, for my knowledge, yeah? But what is important is to have with this bee product antibacterial effect. So if I take the bee products and I assess them, and I see that this product have a strong antibacterial effect, that is a very good product. And then it doesn't matter what is the composition inside. And I give you an interesting conclusion of Professor Vasia Bankova from Sofia. She is most probably the best expert in the world in propolis biochemistry. And she made analysis of propolis from all over the world. And she noticed that each propolis in each country has different composition, but still all propolis from all over the world, they are antioxidant and antibacterial. Yeah. Why? Because all the plants all over the world, they need to protect themselves against the oxidation, against bacteria, against viruses, and so on. And even if there are different substances, they have the same effects. So the most important part is the functioning of a product. Then the structure comes after that. Okay. Okay. Oh, yes, thank you, Beate. So Beate just put in the chat area the link to the playlist of the International Conference on Beehive Air Therapy with all these videos, and also you have the page of Beate. So just go in chat now, you can copy from here, or when I will give you the link to the video, you have also the chat area, so you can get it here too. You can get the links too. Oh, how many times you can do apipuncture with one bee, one participant? So if you have a very good hand and if you use special tools, you can use on several points and the bees will not lose the stinger. So there are some methods to this, but you must come to experts like John Drake's and see how to do this kind of method, but it's doable. Okay, thank you from Christina Samuels. Okay. Good. I do not see any other question here in the chat. So maybe Beate, can you say a few words about behavior therapy? Oh, just open your microphone, please.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Stefan, what are you doing?
Spontaneous feedback.
As always.
Yes.
What do you want me to explain? I mean, you explained a lot about it already. Maybe just a little bit about Bikura.
Yes.
Or where it stems from.
Yes.
Bikura was developed by my late father, in 2016. And in 2013, just to give a bit more background, my family met Stefan in 2001, I think it was, back in Bad Schlema, when you did a small conference there. And one evening we sat together at a restaurant, and you told us the fantastic story about apitherapy. And my family's background, hobby-wise, has always been bees. My granddad was a beekeeper, my dad, as you know. So my brother-in-law became a beekeeper, and my now husband as well. And we were always been fascinated by the bees and apitherapy in general, as we now learned the word for it, because we've been using the bee products for things like cuts, burns, bruises at home since I can remember. And as I said, in 2013, my family went to Passau to the apitherapy conference there. And there, Hans Musch presented a bee air device, a bee air. And my nephew, at the time, still quite young, suffered from breathing difficulties. And they discovered that when he was trying to learn to swim. And so my dad went, okay, I mean, the concept sounds plausible and we have bees. Why don't we just try that out? And so he bought a couple of devices and we found there is benefit in doing this. And then we got some family and friends come over and they also said, oh, my hay fever is getting better. And oh, that's really good. My dad had a background in electronics. He loved maths, science, interested in innovation and technology. And of course, he had to take the device apart and see how it works. And he quickly discovered that no device on the market was without fault. And like any product on the market at the time, it was, done by people to their best abilities, but not to a standard that could be used from a medical point of view. So he said, okay, I'm now in my mid-60s. If I really want to make something different, then we have to do another investment and get a device on the market that is medically certified. And he started off with no knowledge in that industry or what he needed to do. He had to do a new medical certification to be able to create the device. He had to apply for big funding, so that was a big financial project as well. And it took him around 3 years with development from several universities across Germany to develop the device in the way it's been created, to use medical grade materials. But I think what's even more important is that in his forefront, there was always not just the well-being of the person, but the well-being of the bees. He always asked, what's happening to the bees inside? When we put this device on top, what's happening? How are they feeling? How can we measure this? Like, yes, we had asked the Technical University in Dresden with Professor Speer and his team to do the analysis on the volatiles, and that was the first official study in 2017, which he also presented at the Abimondia in 2019. And that was the first view of, okay, there is over 55 volatiles in there. We know that they are really good for humans. We are on the forefront of now getting that medical certification. And in 2019, it was medically certified. And that was the beginning really of, okay, this is not just creating a new device, this is now setting a standard, because the EU certification process demanded not just a medical device, but a structure of, okay, how does it work with like a therapy house? How does the person that's actually sitting on the device is safe and can have a regular standardized process, so that if a medical person gets interested in partnering with a beekeeper for this type of therapy, that it is a standard that is replicable, so that beekeeper A does the same as beekeeper B, and if the person goes to A or B, they get the similar treatment and it's a similar standard. And like the medical professionals who do lots of investment in their time, money, and education to their highest standards because they're working with human health, the expectation is that the beekeeper on the other side, as Stefan said, has to be the medical doctor of the bees. So making sure that you're working to the highest standards within your country. Whether there is certification, like in Germany they do like organic certifications, in other countries they have other processes to follow, but it's really working to the most organic, most healthy, the most strongest hives that you can use. How you do the rest of your beekeeping, that can stay the same. Just for those hives you want to use for inhaling, they should be the best you have in your apiary. And that's really how we started. And then in 2019, he gave me a phone call and went, okay, I've been invited to do to go to Montreal and Canada to the Abimondia. I don't speak much English. Would you mind coming with me? I pay your flight and it would just be a really nice trip together. And I was like, okay, I've never been to Canada. It's free. Let's just do it. And it was the best time. I mean, the interest from the international publicity was really, really good. And it really opened our eyes to what is possible. And since then, the company has grown. My dad passed away last year, unfortunately, but his dream has been to leave something that makes a difference in people's lives. And I think he really achieved that. And there are, if you go on the Beecura website, there is a Google map where you can see practice, or where you see professional therapy centers across the world. And these are just the centers that are working with medical professions or naturopath practitioners to do beehive air therapy. The private users are obviously not on the web because due to data and security, but a lot of people also using it for their personal health. There is, for one example, a guy who's got COPD quite severely, had it for many years, and I think in 2017 he approached my family and said, I heard about this, I want to try this out, and he came with a oxygen tank and a face mask. And for him, he felt it really made a difference. But obviously for this type of condition, A, it's not curable, and B, he needed a lot of treatments. He decided to purchase a beehive that he put in his balcony. He got a device for himself, and over the years, he was doing this in accordance and alongside other beehive products. So he was using honey, propolis, royal jelly, having a healthier lifestyle. And after 3 years of doing these processes, he had his annual checks, and he was initially at stage 3, which is you have to have your gas mask with you all the time, your oxygen mask. And they downgraded him to a stage 1. And they went, whatever you're doing, keep doing this. This is crazy. I have never seen this in the medicine world, but this is fantastic. And he is not cured. He still got COPD, but he said, my life quality has improved so much that I can walk up a flight of stairs without having to stop 3 times. And that really makes a difference for me. And that's what bee products can do. Like I always say, you're not doing this to you not have the issue anymore. The issue comes from somewhere. Your body is telling you something is not right, and you need to find the cause of what the issue is. But bee products can really make a difference in people's lives. And beehive air is one of the least studied, least known new products in the beehive that has an additional benefit. And I always say, do it alongside. There are so many other things you can do, but when we're talking about respiratory tract conditions, propolis and beehive air are your number 1 and 2 products you should be having in your home, or know somebody where you can go
nearby.
to. Yeah.
Yes. Excellent, Beate. And just a few words, if you can say more. In Germany, you have the experience with this network, like Beehive air therapy practitioners. And I suggest to all the people in the room there in the Sussex, but also all over UK, Beate, I will be very, very happy if you'll make the network also for Great Britain, like
Yes, I
Beecura,
mean,
and with the same experience you have in
yeah,
Germany, because
yeah,
huge experience.
that's
What
my
do you think?
dream. For everybody, I'm actually in the UK. I've been living in the UK for over 20 years. That's where the connection comes in. So I'm probably more English than I'm German now. But I have German roots, and that's where actually that all came from. But I would love for us in the UK to have a proper functioning apitherapy network. I've set up a website, gosh, probably 13 years ago, and then nothing happened, and I let it slide out and thought, oh no, it's not ready. I've been to beekeeper associations, and it was just a bit demotivating at the time, but time has moved on, and my eyes were opened at the Apimondia in Copenhagen this year. To see so many British beekeepers there was amazing. And I was like, I think the time has come. We are ready. And then
Yes.
you just opened this group on WhatsApp. So I'm hoping, and I'm up for it. I would like to be actively involved in really making a really well-functioning apitherapy group for the UK and Ireland if they are interested.
Yes, wonderful. Wonderful input, BHAT. Thank you very, very much. Any other friend which would like to put some questions or say some remarks or some comments from here? You can open your microphone and you can make your comment. Meanwhile, I have 2-3 questions more from Facebook. And one question is from Malaysia about what kind of bees can be used for bee venom therapy. There are 2 species, Apis cerana and Apis mellifera. Because Apis dorsata is too big, it's too wild, you cannot get it, it's difficult. There is no big difference in efficacy between these 2 races. Another one was what are the results of treatment of the multiple sclerosis with beehive hair or bee venom? In the multiple sclerosis, it's a very complex disease, so we need to use all bee products through different protocols. So I cannot give a straight answer here. Each bee product plays its role in the treatment of multiple sclerosis. And from Ojenima, I believe it's from Nigeria, how can we treat a person with numbness of the feet with bee products? Again, depends on the diagnosis. If it's diabetes, it's propolis, royal jelly. If it's peripheral neural condition because of some discal hernia, it's bee venom. But it depends again on the precise diagnostic. Okay. Okay, I see Boriana Parvanova from Bulgaria. They are starting a similar organization to present behavior. Wonderful. But I strongly advise you, Boriana, to get in touch with Dr. Plamen. He is above you here. Yes, just Google Plamen and Chef, Hisaria. He's a great guy. And then reactivate the apitherapy movement in Bulgaria, because in Bulgaria, you have such good bee products. Propolis is extraordinary, royal jelly, pollen, you have everything. Okay. Oh, yes, you are working together, Dr. Plamen. Very good, very good. Okay, the world is small. Okay. Other comments or questions? Yeah. I hope in Mozambique we'll have in Heinrich an apitherapy center open soon. What do you think, Heinrich? You can unmute yourself, yes?
Yeah, I think we're getting there. Eh? We're trying hard.
Okay, very good. Okay, my wife is writing another question from Facebook. And maybe, John, you can say a few words more on your experience with bee venom therapy. Just a synthesis on what kind of, what cases were most spectacular. Oh, yes. So activate your microphone.
Okay. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Thank you, Stefan, for another wonderful presentation. Can everybody hear me?
Yes, we hear you well.
Oh, okay. So, as you know, I've been doing apitherapy for more than 20 years, and it's been a real struggle to try and promote it, because all the time you people who don't believe in it, they think that you're some kind of witch doctor. And then you're also fighting the medical establishment and the big pharmaceutical companies. And this is why apitherapy over here in the UK has never really taken off, in spite of things that I have tried to do and other people. But one thing I would suggest to anybody who wants to try and build a small career in apitherapy is find a doctor who's sympathetic with you, because it's surprising how many GPs actually are interested in natural healing with herbs as well, but they're afraid to suggest these remedies to their patients because it puts them in conflict with the official organization, the medical establishment. But you'll find a lot of doctors actually are interested, and I actually had quite a few doctors come to me for treatment, mostly for arthritis, and every one of them made me promise never to tell anybody that they'd been to see an apitherapist. They were afraid of some comeback. But it has another point as well, and that is that if you start to treat people for any kind of disease, you must be very careful to make sure that it's been properly diagnosed. Otherwise, you could do more harm than good. So I think it's quite important to have
a relationship, a link with your doctor, and try and find doctors who are on the same page, who want to use natural products, and also veterinary surgeons. Do you remember I presented a paper in Passau about the horse? Do you remember? This horse was due to be destroyed because it had arthritis, and we used bee venom injections. And over just a few weeks, this horse was running around the field as if it was a young horse. And without the bee venom, this horse would have been destroyed. So it's so powerful, apitherapy, but we have to be careful how we promote it to the public. We must be very careful.
Yes, very, very good input, John. Yes, indeed, apitherapy in veterinary medicine can be very, very useful. And we have two experts in apitherapy in veterinary medicine. One is in Chile. It's a lady doctor, it's Alejandra Lopez Pazos. And another one is in Georgia, in the United States. He's German origin, Jörg Meyer. He's extraordinary also in apitherapy for veterinary medicine. He makes also honey intravenous on the animals and so on and so on.
Okay. And Hirofumi Naito.
Yes, it was in Japan, yeah, but we lost contact with him for many years. Yeah. Okay, so one other question from Facebook is, what is my point of view on autoimmune problems treated with apitherapy? Autoimmune. In autoimmune diseases, most of the cases, it's a problem in the large intestine, it's the microbiota, it's a so-called leaking gut syndrome. The gut, it becomes too open, too porous. And with apitherapy, we can close this porosity, especially with honey and propolis, because propolis can close these two open pores. So, but you need to change the diet, you need to fix the microbiota. It's a long discussion here, but basically propolis and honey can help a lot, especially honey to honey. Okay. I see.
And they,
yes.
And they work really well with general medication. So when you have to take general medication, as my daughter, for example, does, really high dose drugs, they have less side effects from those medications.
Yes.
It really works.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you very, very much to all of you. Maybe those of you who are behind the camera, maybe you can open the cameras to make the photo group, like to make the final photo group with you. So please open your camera shortly. Yes, very nice, Helen. And come in front of the camera to make the group photo. Very good. Dr. Sajmir from Albania. Albania or Kosovo?
Albania. Thank you very much, Dr. Stefan. Very nice presentation. Very good.
Thank you. Thank you also to Ionuț from Brasov, Simone, Germany. Okay, so we can make the group photo. And Simon Bellamy. Yeah, you stayed also quiet, but Simon is a very, very good guy in beekeeping, also in apitherapy. You need to connect with this one too. Okay, so let's make the group photo. 1, 2, 3. Okay, very, very good. Thank you very much for your presence this evening. And again, I will give you the link to the presentation, and I'll help you to connect to this British Apitherapy Network, and try to participate to as many as possible.